Hey, have you read the book Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert? I just finished reading it last night, and some people have asked me what I thought of the book, and I thought it was one really great book. And I've been thinking a lot about my what I got out of it as I've been going on my daily walk today. And I think for me, the book can be summed up pretty well in a story that she shares about her experience as a writer. The story that she shares is about a short story that she wrote and it eventually got published. But the story behind that is actually what I find really interesting. Now, Elizabeth Gilbert was decided early on in her life that writing was important to her, and so she made it a regular practice, a regular part of her life. The thing that I wasn't aware of was the struggle behind the writing. For many years, she would write a story and send it off for publication to uh, a magazine or to some other publisher. And for many years, all she got back were rejection letters. I don't know how many rejection letters she got, but she got apparently a lot. So, in the story that she wrote, The Pilgrim, it was a 10-page long story, and she spent what she shared was that she spent a year and a half writing the story and getting it to be as polished as she could make it. Now, writing was a regular part of her life, so one that seems like an awful long time in order to write a story, and especially in our current age where we want immediate answers and immediate results. The question that I have that honestly is left unanswered in the book is how did she deal with the challenges of polishing that story for that long and going after rejection and continue to persist in dealing with that. And what she shares also is that she finally sent it off to Esquire magazine and she got an acceptance letter back. And of course, she was thrilled about it. But a couple of months before it would be in print, the assistant editor wrote her an email, and in it he shared that a major advertiser in that the issue of the magazine that was where her story was going to appear, major advertiser had pulled out of the magazine, and in doing so, it required the magazine to cut back a number of pages in order to recover the lost revenue. And so they came to the assistant editor wrote to Gilbert and shared that she would need to cut her story back by 30%. So imagine this, if you will. You've gotten a story that you've written. It's taken a year and a half for you to polish it. You've been writing story after story for years. You have the opportunity to finally get published, and they come back to you and say, you need to cut 30% of it. And her first reaction was, but I've perfected it and I've taken off out of every extraneous word that I know of in there. And she could have said, no, I'm not going to do that. Or she could say, you know what, this is where I am with the story and this is what I'm going to do. And so what she did was she went back and she excised, as she said, many words from the story. And in doing so, it totally changed the story. But she also shared that it didn't make it a worse story, it just made it a different story. and she finished it, sent it off, it got published. Now, the other piece of that is that by getting that short story published in Esquire, a literary agent came to her and has been working with her for many years since. And one of the things that has resulted out of that was her publishing the book Eat, Sleep, Love, which stayed at the top of the New York Times bestseller list for 3 years. So you can look at the year and a half amount of time in order to write a 10-page story that got cut back to 7 pages. And you can look at that time then and have the thought that, that was just wasted time, that her return on investment for that story was really small. But in truth, because it led the way to something much bigger, it was investment that paid off many, many, many times over. So how do you stay in that creative spirit, that creative mode, where you're continuing to hone your craft and put out work when your results aren't immediate? How do you keep the motivation going? How do you keep that spirit alive? Now, the two things that Gilbert did share were that, one, she made writing a daily part of her life. So it was something that she did day after day, regardless of the results that she got from it. And the second part of it was that she wasn't attached to the outcome, that she was attached to, the thing that she was attached to was to the craft of writing. And in the process, she became a much better writer. And she saw results that she didn't expect. But her commitment was to keeping that craft alive. And it is what enabled her to continue to write and to eventually publish Big Magic and do some other work. So my invitation to you is to keep your craft alive, to continue to put the work in order to create the body of work that you want to leave as a legacy. That's all for now. Leave your comments in the section below and tell me what you think of this and how you're keeping your craft alive. Talk to you later.